I'm Debbie from So Easy, and today I'm going to go through with you how to thread your Brother 1034D serger. So you will need your serger. You'll also need the tweezers or some kind of threading tool that came with your serger. I'm also going to use one of these little needle threaders, but these are optional, and I'll show you how we're going to use that one, but you don't really need one. I've also got some hairspray, and again this is optional, but if you have trouble threading needles or you find your thread kind of wiggles all over the place, first thing I like to do is just give my thread a quick spray with some hairspray and leave it to dry, and it just makes the ends a little bit stiffer and can make it easier to thread. So that's just one optional little tip. Okay, so let's get started. So before we do anything, safety first. I'm going to turn off the serger so that I can't be cutting my fingers or sticking them through with the needle by mistake, and that's the first thing. Then we need to lift up our presser foot. I'm lifting the needle on the side, and I'm going to use the hand wheel here and turn it towards me until I get my needles in the highest position, which is about there. Okay, so then we'll open the cover and get started. Start by adding your cones onto the back of the serger, and then lift your bar up to the uppermost position. And for each of the threads, you'll take it from your cone and thread it from the back towards the front. Here, the steps are numbered, so you have step number 1 on your bar here, and you'll thread the thread so that it comes off the cone and through the front of the serger. Just got one more to do over here. So that's step 1. So our step number 2, up at the top here, is these little thread guide clips. And we need to start when we're threading with our green thread channel. So I'm going to start with the 3rd spool along and just take the thread and clip it under here. Once it's in place, you can hear a little clip. There we go, so that's in place through there. And we'll do that the same for all of our threads. So this is our tension release spring, and if when you're using it you take a look down in here, you can see your tension disc, and when you use the release spring it moves the disc over to the right hand side just to make sure that your thread is going in the right place. So you press down on here and just put the thread through here and then release, and that will be the same for all of them. So now it's time to open our cover, and we are using our green thread channel, and just take a moment to study the picture on the inside of here because it is accurate and quite useful. So this is my thread hanging down directly in front of this green line, and if I follow it down there's a number 5. So number 3 was our tension release, number 4 is this channel here for the thread down the front of the machine, number 5 is this hook. So I take my thread, pull it through, attach it around the hook. Then we're following the green channel, so if you look down here, these ones I've got blue and green. There's green only on the second one. So let's zoom in and follow the thread through as we put it through this green area. So now we're going to continue with the green thread channel, and so our thread goes from the hook number 5 through the front area here, and then if we follow the green line up we come to hook number 7 and we put the thread through there. Now if we look up here, it's now telling us to put it through the eye of the upper looper, so let's do that. We'll need our tweezers. So I'm now just going to release my presser foot and take that out of the way because it helps me with the threading around this area not to have that there. So if I take the thread which we've just put through our number 7 hook, and because it's nice, if you can, I don't know if it'll focus, you can see how stiff it is on the end because of the hairspray. Makes it easier for me to push that through, pull out the other side, and I'm just going to put that over on the left, pull a little bit more through. So that's our upper looper. Our second one we're going to do is our blue channel, that's the one on the far right hand side for our lower looper. So exactly the same as we did for the first one, Step number 2 is I've put it through the clip at the top. Number 3, open up the tension discs, and step 4, to follow down the thread channel until our thread comes out here. And we're now following this blue thread, this blue indication on the diagram. So I'm going to put it through point number 5 at the clip just here. Pull a little bit extra through, and we've got 2 blue dots, which means our thread needs to go through both of those holders. So I'll put them under both at the bottom. Point number 8, this clip here, and then I'm just going to pull a little bit through, and we'll have a look in more detail about threading the lower looper. So our next step in threading the lower looper is this point here. There are some blue arrows top and bottom, and we need to just pull that top part out like that, and it gives us this small area here. Now in the instructional video it's not quite clear because it does say to pull the thread behind this catch, but in fact you really don't need to pull it behind. If you do, it's going to make the thread very hard to pull through. So I'm going to zoom in now and just show you how I put my thread in place. So we're actually going to lay our thread just on the left hand side, like this, and not pull it all the way to the right. If you pulled it all the way to the right, there's another hole just here which the thread could come out of, but we don't want to do that. That would be too far. So I'm going to put in a couple of pictures here of the right way and the wrong way to do this next step. And once you have your thread on this left hand side, you push this little bar back in all the way until these blue arrows line up again. So now we take our thread, use the tweezers, and this bar here is our lower looper. This has got our little hole in on the end. Just need to poke the thread through that hole. Oh, I should have trimmed off the little bits of fluff on the end, and pull it out and over to the left hand side. So these are the most difficult parts done. Our upper and lower loopers are now completed, and it's plain sailing from now on because we're just going to do our needles. So let's start with our red thread channel next, and we'll do the right hand needle. So to start off with our right needle, that's thread number 2, then we'll do the same as before. I'm going to clip it through point number 2, the thread guide, open up the tension discs and feed it down through the channel, and it's pretty much the same as threading a sewing machine. So we're going to take it under here and then up and around, and on the top of the needles just here's a little thread guide. I'm just going to pop the thread behind that guide, and now we need to thread our right hand needle. So my thread's already pretty stiff on the end because that little bit of hairspray that I used, so I can just pop that through my right hand needle, pull it out, make sure it's through the thread guide still, and just pop that off to the left hand side. So now it's time for my left hand needle. So exactly the same as before, through step 2, the clip at the back, open the tension, run the thread through that channel, same as the sewing machine, up and around. I'm just going to pull a little bit through and through that thread guide over the top of the needles, and this time I'll try and use my little needle threader tool. This is a little spring-loaded tool, and I can just put the thread in here and it pushes it straight through the eye of the needle. It's got a little hook, and I can grab the thread like that, and I actually find it easier to thread both of the needles with this little tool than I do with the tweezers. So okay, so my threads are all now in place. I'm just going to put my presser foot back on. There we go. And I'm just going to turn the hand wheel towards me counterclockwise and just check everything is running smoothly. I can see my stitches being formed. That's good. So let's close everything up, turn on the power. So it's time to sew. Let's see if we can create a thread chain. Beautiful. Looks like everything is threaded correctly. So I hope that was useful for you. If you do have any questions, by all means, please ask. But remember that I'm just a beginner at serging too, so I'll do my best to help you. And hopefully together we'll come up with a threading solution for you. Thank you very much for watching, and I really love it if you would subscribe to my channel. There'll be a button underneath, and click on there, and then you'll also be informed when I put up new serger or other sewing tutorials. Thanks very much for watching.